In today's society, mental health awareness has become a huge focus of everyday conversation. Governments have increased funding to different mental health initiatives, and there is a big emphasis in the media to reduce the stigma of mental illness and expand the discussion we have around mental health. However, one group who often suffer with mental health in a very unspoken and silent way are males. Currently, Australian men are 3 times more likely to take their own lives than females, and suicide is also the leading cause of death for males aged 15 to 44. And while suicide is a hugely complex and sensitive issue, often a result from a serious mental illness or a combination of different factors, the harsh reality is that as public awareness for mental health continues to grow, so do the rates of suicide. Research shows that not only are men taking their own lives at a higher rate, but are also far less likely to seek treatment or support when they are struggling with their mental health. As a 17-year-old bloke graduating at all-boys high school at the end of this year, it scares me to think of how many men my age may be struggling on the inside, yet seem perfectly okay on the outside. Although I'm no counsellor or psychologist, I do know what it's like to be in the shoes of a young man, and it can be isolating, tough, and demanding at times. And while there is no one easy fix, solution, or explanation behind this issue, we can at least start somewhere, even if it begins with just a conversation. One notable area of discussion around this topic is the idea of toxic masculinity, referring to the narrow and often damaging pressures of what it means to be a real man in the 21st century. I think the psychologist Ellen Hendrickson best explains toxic masculinity by describing it as a box. It's narrow, rigid, and men have to contort themselves to fit inside it. Hence, the term man box is formed, and while there are many different elements to this man box, the main ones that men are challenged to face are to not cry, to act tough, to be self-sufficient, to not show any emotion other than anger, to not show any weakness, to not be feminine or gay, and above all else, to not depend on anyone. The more we constantly push men towards these certain traits and away from others, the more we shove them into this man box. Research from Michael Flood, an associate professor at QUT, noted how these man box characteristics can be incredibly limiting and damaging, encouraging boys and men to enter into a cycle where they suppress their feelings. This limitation of expression can lead to boys feeling trapped, as if they can't really show off how they truly are and how they're feeling pressured to only show off what society deems appropriate. And if boys begin to enter into a culture where they are told to disconnect from the very things that make us human, these negative patterns and behaviours won't lead them as they enter into manhood, and as they grow old. Sometimes, we need to remind ourselves that male emotions aren't things to be ashamed of or not show off, and that it is okay to ask for help when we need it. And although we can't change generations of built-up masculine behaviour, what we can do is start to change how we look and view the men in our lives, and question society to understand the unspoken burdens and pressures that men might silently face. I've also recently spoken to a former teacher at my school who has battled with anxiety and depression for much of his life. He mentioned to me how mental health is something that doesn't discriminate. You could be the richest or poorest person in the room, old or young, a uni student or tradie, and still undergo a rough battle with your mental health. One thing that he did tell me, however, is that things have changed. Now things like Men's Mental Health Week, Mullets for Mental Health, and September being the National Suicide Awareness Month have made their way all over social media platforms, increasing the discussion and awareness we have for the issue. Personally, at my school, in honour of Are You OK Week, a couple of boys and myself went around asking the senior students how they help their mental health. And although working to improve your mental health is an everyday type of fight, even the littlest things like going for a run, meditating, or taking some time to enjoy a nice meal were good examples for all the younger kids on how they can improve their mental health. For us men, admitting that you're battling and asking for help is hard, but what's important is that reaching out is not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of strength. Nowadays, many people think that they are a burden, but you have to remember that you are never a burden to someone who truly loves you. Whether it be psychologists, counsellors, coaches, teachers, colleagues, friends, and of course family, they're all there for you. And at the end of the day, anxieties, insecurities, and personal demons, we've all got them. So it's okay to talk to someone about them when you need to. And while the fight against male mental health isn't going to be over in a day, if we all work at it one step at a time, it'll slowly get better. The future remains hopeful.